Good, good. So before you start to pitch, I just want to do a real quick intro of Teddy, Nathan, and Hillary. They are all Darden alums and founders. Teddy founded 501 Auctions with a classmate, which they have since sold. Nathan also founded Forgetful Gentleman when he was at school with a classmate, and since then he's moved on into being more in an investment and advisory mode in food specialty. And then Hillary also founded something while she was at Darden, Lumi Juice, which she is still running today. And with that, I'm going to let you guys start your 1-minute pitch, and then they'll do the Q&A with you. And we have 8 minutes.
Perfect. Sounds good. Well, thank you all for being here today. Groam is an idea that was born out of a combination of disaster and opportunity. So with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in March, for a lot of us, things that maybe before seemed small or mundane started to feel bigger. And for a lot of my friends, that was houseplant care. Many of them were stranded abroad or relocated due to personal reasons and reached out to me to water their plants being in Charlottesville. And I started to wonder, why is it that we can control the temperature of our homes from our phones? We can record and look at live footage of our homes from our phones while we're away, but plant owners remain solutionless. And I knew that given the $1.7 billion houseplant market, others were probably wondering the same thing.
Yeah, so as I think you guys saw in our initial material, we initially targeted these people who are away from homes to care for their houseplants because we saw the most pressing need and the clearest value for them. But as we got into this and started doing more research and customer interviews, we also saw this really strong desire for more daily routine plant care, which really opens up our potential audience there. So we've been doing a lot of hypothesis testing on that. We still have a lot to do in terms of who we think the next big customer segment we want to go after is and what their behavior is. But we're really happy to share some of that with you this morning and talk about the future of Groam.
Great.
So you guys can start with your questions.
Yeah, you've already gotten a couple points with me for taking the Patriots shirt off, which I saw in your video. So as a Jets fan, I appreciate that.
I made that note too, Nathan.
Yeah. No, I think this is really interesting, because I think there are a lot of people who, like the idea of houseplants, but at some point killed a few and have sort of given up. I would certainly put myself in that category. So the platform, I think not only for remote care, but actually just for daily care is actually really interesting. If you're able to put in there the type of plant it is, which, I'm not sure if that's kind of in the roadmap, but the type of plant it is, and then for it to monitor everything from, whatever soil pH to amount of sunlight to the water, and really like have it be an educational piece as well as a maintenance piece. I think that's huge. And then my only question was like, do you guys see extensions off of houseplants to like gardening or herb gardens, that sort of thing? I saw an article, I think it was last week, about this new coffee table that has this sort of tray underneath the surface, and you actually pull it out and it's like a light box inside for people in urban environments, in apartments, to grow, herbs. So it seems like there's a, I don't know, anecdotally, just from seeing that, and hearing some of the stats you guys gave, seems like there's a bit of a movement around this. So anyway, yeah, I would just love to hear your thoughts on maybe like the roadmap beyond the initial pitch that you see, with the product.
Yeah, sure. So I'll chime in. I think it's a great point that there are a lot of innovations around either home gardening or, within the home or outside of it. I think where we're at right now is there seem to be a handful of solutions for automated sort of like indoor agriculture or even outdoor. Like there's a lot of plant tech in terms of outdoor agriculture right now, but where we really see a gap in the market is with houseplants specifically. So it's not to say that we don't foresee ourselves going down that route, but I think houseplants, both residentially and commercially, there's a huge opportunity there. So we haven't quite looked into agriculture, but it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think there are, even within people who own houseplants, there are so many different behaviors of what people want. And I think we really had our eyes open as we've done more research. People who just really care about having one plant versus people who have dozens of plants and like have named all of them, or people who just have like a whole indoor garden and just kind of care about that idea. So we've been really trying to figure out, which of those groups do we want to target, but then also like as we go through that, we don't want to close off any of those opportunities. So also kind of the timeline that we address them. And I think that that's also going to start to determine, maybe there are a lot of similar behaviors between people who have plants inside and then people who also have herb gardens or stuff out on their patio, or even, just a few outdoor plants in their garden. There may be a lot of similarities between those people and some who we're already targeting. So laying out that whole groundwork of how we move from segment to segment and in what order is something that we're still trying to build a lot of knowledge around right now. But it's definitely something that we're trying to figure out.
Michael, I like the jade plant that you have right there, little representation right in the front. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I just bought a few of those really janky bulbs that you put in. I'm like, this is gonna not work, or something bad is gonna happen, or both. So I don't have a lot of faith in the product that I just purchased. But I was curious. I see, auto watering, sunlight temperature, humidity. It seems like you'll probably also want to control for the soil itself, because let's say if the soil is already very wet, you might need to regulate it in a different way, or hold off on watering, for example. And you mentioned a $39 willingness to pay. I'm curious, like how do you feel like? Do you feel confident in your ability to get all of those facets, all of those capabilities into a $39 product? And don't have to know specifics, but just macro level.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, based on some of the initial research I'd done in trying to put together some prototypes, there's actually a lot of really cheap sensors out there now, and actually a lot of people who are kind of doing similar stuff that we're doing just for their own personal gardens, and if they have the technical know-how to do that. So I can't say on a specific feature to feature basis how much they're going to be, but I think that a lot of at least those simple monitoring pieces are relatively inexpensive for us to integrate, especially once we put one piece in. Adding more capabilities once it's already there, I think will be fairly cheap. I think the question becomes, how cheap can we get it? Especially if we're targeting this very mass market.
Hillary, do we have time for one more question?
Yeah, I was going to ask
real quick.
Have you thought of additional product lines? Because I feel like if you have something in there, pH of soil, water, you could be selling soil, nutrients for the soil, even seeds. Because like one of the things I'm have a lot going on, and I definitely Teddy said it was a janky product, but maybe, Teddy might not be a good plant dad. No offense, Teddy. But how do you make people that want to have some green in their life? I don't know what you thought about.
Yeah, we've definitely thought about that. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for, like you said, sort of nutrient additions, and even cameras. Like we kind of think about this as like the baby camera for your plant. So like you can actually physically see your plants if you're really involved. But we also know that there are, like Michael said, tiers, right? So some people just want watering, and they just, they're going to be gone for a week and they just need water. Some people want to know everything about their plants. And I think we can come up with different price points for those people as we evolve to add on. And then, one other thing, like kids, right? Sort of making little add-ons for kids, and can they be cute and get kids involved in houseplants? So I think there's a lot of opportunity for expansion.
Okay.
More revenue streams. Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks, Amanda. Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. This is great.
All right. So you guys can take a minute to write some notes that you would give them on feedback, and go 1 minute and then let the next team in. And just so you know, we are live streaming this so that people can watch each other's presentations. And that we have some people who just enjoy seeing the presentations that have worked with the team. So we are live streaming on YouTube.
We have 11 people watching so far.
Hello, world.
Hello, YouTube.
Should have gotten my light.
Okay, are we ready for the next team?
Yes, so looks like it's Bella and Jenna. And we will see if Caitlin is.
Yeah, Caitlin's there too.
Caitlin is for their team too. All right, well, let them all in.
Hello, Team Homie. How you guys doing?
Hello. Doing
Hello.
well.
I'm MJ Toms at the Batten Institute at Darden, and I want to do a real quick intro to your judges here who will be asking you questions. All three are Darden alums and founders when they were at school. Teddy Jones did a 501 auctions with one of his classmates, and they've since sold that, and he's semi-retired. Hillary Murray also launched her company Lumi Juice while in school, and she's still running that. There she's showing you her product. And then Nathan also launched with a co-founder classmate while he was in school, but since then he's moved on to the investment advising side in specialty food. And with that, we're going to let you do your 1-minute pitch. Then we'll have time for some Q&A with the judges. And you guys can start now.
Terrific. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. And thanks for that introduction, MJ. So we are Homey, and Homey is changing the future of affordable furniture within the student-to-student market. The back-to-school spending market is a $25 billion market with around $3 billion going to furniture and supplies, which creates a huge market opportunity for our business. Homey is a student-to-student consignment furniture company filling the gap between those who want to sell their furniture post-graduation years and those who want to buy furniture in college. As a consignment company, Homey will take furniture from students, refurbish it, write product descriptions, and take pictures of the furniture and ultimately derive a selling price. Then, Homey will earn a 15% to 45% commission based off of the amount of refurbishing completed and the selling price. Our team includes 3 fourth-year McIntyre students who not only have the skills to create Homey, but also have the personal experience of struggling to find quality and affordable furniture in college. We believe we stand out from competition through our refurbishing feature, which will allow students to charge a higher price than on other platforms. As well, focusing on a niche student-to-student marketplace enables trust between our suppliers and buyers. We are currently in need of funding to cover fixed warehouse costs, and we have a compelling pitch deck that we would like to share with you all if desired, and we're welcome to any questions about Homey that you guys may have. And now we can open it up to questions.
I'll just start. What are those fixed costs? Have you outlined them yet? Like the total amount?
We currently have about $1,000 allocated to fixed costs, but we haven't found a warehouse yet, so they're not completely concrete.
I had a question about one. I love the tagline, "Will always be your homie." That's gold. You guys are on a good start right there. In terms of thinking about the cost of refurbishing, how did you intend on handling that?
Yeah, so like I mentioned, we're going to take a 15 to 45% commission based off of the cost of refurbishing. So we'll front that firsthand, but then in the end, we'll ultimately be paid off once we sell the furniture, and that price will be put onto the seller of the furniture. The cost.
Also the refurbishing thing is still up in the air. It's kind of like we were talking to our teacher, Eric Martin. He was saying like a refurbishing could be really cool. Like if you get something like the UVA community, like people that refurbish, like kind of giving like revenue back to the community, like having people come in and refurbish with their businesses. So it's still like kind of in the trial runs if we want to even include that. But if we do, that's like where the like up in the commission, like us taking out, will come out of. But we're still kind of like in an idea phase for that part.
Do you guys see this as a very seasonal business, and it's, you know, really spring to summer, you know, when the changeover of school year is happening? And if so, I guess, how have you thought about, you know, handling, you know, fixed costs and carrying inventory for, you know, 8 months of the year when you don't have any real revenue coming in? And then maybe a second question, if I can throw out there, is, you know, you're sort of building a dual-sided network model. So, you know, typically you want to really subsidize one over the other and get a critical mass on one side of the network to attract people to the platform. So thoughts on how, you know, I assume actually the side you want to build up is actually the inventory of furniture. So just, you know, as a startup cost, have you thought about how much you need to have in inventory to start attracting people onto the platform and the costs associated with that?
Yeah. So to answer your first question of the seasonality of the business, in our pitch deck or in our pitch video, you heard us talk about expanding our market to different customer segments. So for example, military families. And we saw that segment really attractive because not only are they moving houses very frequently and on a budget like a lot of students, but they move at different times of the year versus at the end of the school year and then the beginning of the new school year. So that was a way that we saw that we could combat that seasonality of the business. And I'll defer it over to Bella to talk about the startup cost and how we're going to really roll out the platform.
Yeah, so we were thinking like that was one of the biggest things about like a network and a platform. Like you kind of need both sides to start it, and like you need a lot of people on board at first. And we're thinking, since we are 3 like current students, that we'll be able to like make a group either on Facebook or something and get interest and like start there by making a group, making it social, making it fun, like making people like know our mission, like what's going to happen. And I've already told a lot of people about this idea and they're like, I would do that. And also like going back just on the seasonality, like one little touch on that, you think it is very seasonal, but we've seen like couches currently like all throughout the year. Like when we filmed, that couch is just it's like in the middle of the school year. So like people are throwing away like furniture throughout the year as well when it gets trash. And that's where the refurbishing, we were like, oh, that's a really good idea for refurbishing if it's trash furniture. But I think like we're trying to work on getting the network and getting people to get on board by making it fun. And we're going to come up with an idea to have like a big event, maybe underneath a tent, and get people just to bring their furniture there to start the idea. But yeah, that's one of also a thing that we're going to work on, is trying to get the network going.
Have you scoped out costs of like cleaning furniture? Do you think that you would buy equipment to have that in-house, just because a lot of those couches have probably been Smoke City from a party? Does anybody want to take that question? I mean, I guess how have you looked at the cost of cleaning furniture because some of those costs are incredibly astronomical. So
yeah, so going back to Teddy's question of the cost of refurbishing our furniture, again, we'll put these prices eventually onto the seller of the furniture. When they do sell, it'll be included in that commission. But I do like the idea that you mentioned of having something in-house to clean the furniture. I think that's a really good idea. So I think as we continue to develop our platform and our business model, we would definitely take that into consideration.
Yeah, I think just as you do that modeling, just understanding price sensitivity is going to be important, right, for college kids. So, you know, if there's a couch that needs a $300 cleaning and steaming and whatever refurbishment, all of a sudden you've just priced yourself out of your market, right? So I think that's one area, you know, as you guys continue to look to be careful of.
Definitely.
Okay. I think we're out of time now.
thank you.
Thank you guys. And we'll be, see you back at 1:15.
Terrific.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to our pitch.
Thanks, homies.
Okay. Next up, we have Cecilia with Joy de Sang.
All right. Let me let her in.
Yep. Oh,
All
I'm
right.
sorry. Actually, no. Do you guys want to take a minute to take notes? I forgot about that.
I'm taking them as I go, but I don't know about Teddy and Nathan.
I'm good.
You ready?
All right, here she comes.
Okay. Hey, Cecilia.
Hello.
How you doing?
A bit nervous.
Look at you in Paris.
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Well, Cecilia, I want to take a quick second to introduce you to the judges here, all three of whom graduated from Darden and were founders while they were in school.
Awesome.
Teddy founded a nonprofit live auction platform, 501 Auctions, with one of his classmates. Nathan also founded a forgetful gentleman with his classmate and has since moved on to be an investor and advisor. And Hillary founded Lumi Juice, and she is still running Lumi. And yeah, I guess that's enough an intro. So we're going to let you do your 1-minute pitch.
Perfect.
And then we'll go right into Q&A.
Perfect.
Okay, go.
All right. Thank you. Well, as the wellness revolution continues to impact our choices, an increased desire to explore a sober, curious lifestyle has begun to shape the way millennials and Gen Zers think about drinking. But although these trends are starting to be adopted, there is still a large gap in the market of drinks that can cater to the growing population of mindful drinkers. This challenge, added to the normalization of a drinking culture, has left those with a choice to not drink marginalized. This is a $1.2 billion opportunity in the US alone. Joie de Sans is an alcohol-free, ready-to-sip cocktail that offers consumers an option that feels like having a drink without the alcohol. Unlike other alternatives, we offer an alluring canned beverage option that is inclusive and makes the consumer feel empowered, sophisticated, and unique, all while allowing them to embrace and stay true to their values. The team includes me, an experienced entrepreneur in the craft beverage industry, and a knowledgeable tastemaker and brand specialist with over 8 years' experience with Bacardi. Our vision is to create alcohol-free experiences that celebrate the life choices of our consumers. We've already spoken to a couple of non-alc influencers within the beverage space and a few formulators who will help us bring our product to life. And with the $1,000, we intend to focus on R&D during the winter break to perfect our recipes for the first 2 expressions we want to launch.
Great. Questions, team?
By the way, your pitch deck was great. Was
Thank
really,
you.
really good. So it just, aesthetically, the way that you did storytelling, I think for a brand like yours, the storytelling is going to be really important. And so I think, you definitely already have shown that, you have a strength there. So that's was kind of a kudos to you.
Thanks.
One question I have is, have you started to think about manufacturing at all and call manufacturing partners? This is really where a lot of brands like you would get stuck in that you have a great product, but you can't really get it manufactured because you're too small for anyone to really put you on on their line. So we're just curious if you had any conversations or discussions.
Yeah, so we spoke to someone in DC who owns a cocktail bar who is also very into the non-alc space, and he recommended us with some formulators in Brooklyn. And so we've been talking to them about just perfecting the recipe, and there are several manufacturers that cater to the craft beverage industry who provide the facilities and basically like the food scientists who will make this recipe and also produce it. So there are a couple of options in Jersey and also California that we have been exploring. But yes, this is definitely one of the challenges that we intend to tackle next. And I think right now what we want to do is like take that first step where we have the recipes, we have the formulation, and then we can begin exploring to see how much it's going to cost to actually make the product.
But from a packaging kind of form, you're going to do something standard that, you know, can be run on a traditional line, right?
I think so. Yes. Yes. Our ingredients. So we have also looked at sourcing all natural ingredients. So we have looked into. So my friend who works at Bacardi, she's in the education department now. So they just created this new. Just like kind of like food like lab, and so she has the connections with a couple of companies that create flavors, and so we've been looking at a couple of these companies to see where we can source all natural ingredients, and so that's going to be a big part of our offering, is that everything is going to be natural. But yeah, I think in terms of manufacturing, it should be pretty standard. We do want it to be canned because that's one of our offerings, is that it's portable, right? That you can take it anywhere, and so we want it to be accessible in that sense. Yeah.
Why did you decide that you wanted to be canned and accessible? Because with your name and your pitch, it seemed luxury and glass.
Right. Well, we did explore that option as well, and I think it's another element that we want to add to the brand, is that we do want to be sustainable as well. So from all of the materials that we found that aluminum is one of the most recyclable products, and I think. If you look at a lot of the other companies that are also doing beverage options, like we know, for example, that ABI is looking into transitioning all of their aluminum products towards low carbon aluminum, which will also might add a premium to our product. But we are looking to be in that premium space. So in terms of pricing, I don't think that would affect it much. But we do want it to be to contribute at least to having a sustainable model.
I've had a lot of bitters and sodas lately, so I'm excited to try the product whenever that's possible. And I have a great formulator here in Brooklyn if you want to connect with them afterwards. But one question is, how do you think about your competition? You know, what do you consider to be your competition?
So we have. Right now we have competition. There is competition within the non-alcoholic space. So we have, there's non-alcoholic beer, there are non-alcoholic wines. There are as well non-alcoholic spirits that are, I think that's been the kind of the biggest push that we've seen within the category. But again, I feel like for such a new category, consumers really don't have the knowledge to know what to do with them. So that's why we chose to have like the ready to sip, and also I think what else would be in the competition? I guess we'd be competing with all of these three categories and other non-alcoholic sippers as well. There are a couple that have been on the market in the past couple of years, but I think there's such a new category, and this reminds me a lot to when I launched my first mezcal brand. There's so much room to create a brand that will have a resonance with the public, and so I see competition as welcoming, and I see competition as just one of the things that will help us grow. It's always great to have more competition within the category, to cement that category and have people know that there are non-alcoholic options.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we out of time, or can I ask a question?
Go ahead, one more question.
Sorry. Have you figured out where you want to sell this? I know you spoke briefly about it in your video, but have you narrowed that down?
Yeah, we're thinking mainly direct to consumer, I think is the way to go, especially after what we've seen with COVID and how like a lot of the brands are now shifting direct to consumer with e-commerce. That's going to be one of our main drivers, but also wellness and health stores like Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, like all of these stores that are very specialty. I think that will be our first step, and then we can go to the mainstream with the Targets and Walmarts.
All right, perfect timing.
Awesome.
Way to get it done.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Cecilia. Good to see you.
Thank you so much. It's so great to see you all. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.
So do you guys need time to write notes, or should we move on? Ready to go?
Over here.
Okay.
All right. So go ahead and let
All
Megan in, Arena.
Hi.
Hey, Megan. Good to see you.
Likewise.
I want to do a real quick intro of our judges here before you start pitching. All three are Darden alums who founded ventures while they were at school. Hillary founded Lumi Juice, which she is still running. Nathan founded Forgetful Gentleman with one of his classmates. And since then, he has moved on to the investing and advisory space. And Teddy also founded his startup with a classmate. And since then, they have sold it. And I think he's just, you know, a retiree, I guess.
Actually started a record label, a mini record label. So I'm working like a dog now, MJ.
Oh my goodness, so exciting. Okay, so with that, Megan, you can do your 1-minute pitch, and then we will jump right into the Q&A.
Great, thanks for having me. I'm the co-founder of Reina. My best friend Katie and I founded Reina because we were so frustrated with available pubic hair products that left us with hot wax burns, razor irritation, and painful ingrowns. Reina exists to change the status quo around pubic hair and give women a product we actually want. Reina makes an innovative electric trimmer for hair down there made for women by women. Research shows almost all women groom their pubic hair. Most of the time they do it themselves, and 64% trim every time they groom, but they don't have the right tools for the job. This leaves just 10% satisfied with their current grooming routine. Reina is intentionally designed for the vulva with nick-free blades for safety, a small maneuverable head to access hard-to-trim areas, and capacity for a close trim that means it's the only tool a woman needs. Reina is changing the game by listening to women and designing a product specifically for her body and her needs. Thank you.
All right, I'm sure you have lots of questions.
Yes.
I guess I'm the woman. I guess I could go first. Everyone's quiet. Have you looked at I saw your pitch, obviously, video. From a manufacturing standpoint, have you started to look at a prototype more so, and would it be U.S. manufactured or overseas?
Yeah, I'm very eager to look towards manufacturing and prototyping right now. It's really important that we get the design of the product right by doing a lot of customer research. That's really where the phase that I just exited, and now I'm in the prototyping stage. So if we were to look off camera, I've got clay and foam. We're just trying out different shapes for the device so that it really meets women's needs. Since we're grooming ourselves, I think the product is going to look a lot different than what you see on the market. So if you think about it, the trimmers that you see today are basically just like a trimmer or hair clippers for one person to use on another, but they never really evolved as people started using it on body hair and then pubic hair. So Reina is going to look a lot different than what you see because it needs to be ergonomic for women to use on herself and to be really specific for the vulva.
So,
sorry. Go ahead. I was just my last question is, have you, from a laser standpoint, have you looked at the versus of women who are actually interested in doing it this way versus getting laser? Because I didn't see that comparison in your pitch.
Yeah, laser is interesting. So we ran a survey, 175 UVA women and friends, and we found only like a single digits number did laser. And I think that's because, obviously it's super expensive. The men probably don't know it's upwards of $1,000 and sometimes more, since you have to go back for multiple treatments. And it also doesn't work for all women, since it's related to the contrast of the hair. So you have to be very light skinned with dark hair. So for example, women with more melanin in their skin, it doesn't work for them. And it's really expensive. So we were kind of thinking that the women that want laser, they're not going to be trimming their pubic hair because it's already gone. We're focused more on women that are DIY groomers. And from our survey, that was about half of the women. About half of women are DIYers. The other quarter, we call them outsourcers. So they go to a salon, maybe they get laser, and then the last quarter I call them hybrids. They do a little bit of DIY, a little bit of outsourcing.
You've obviously looked at Manscaped.
Yes.
As you think about I guess the product will obviously be different, but as you think about like sort of the go-to-market playbook, is that the playbook, or are you guys thinking about doing things a little differently than they've done?
Yeah, Manscaped is I think it's the best competitor and kind of the best example for us to look at right now. They launched in 2018 with like $500,000 after Shark Tank, and now they're valued at upwards of 500 million. And that was just through direct consumer advertising and advertising on social media channels. We're all probably going to get a lot of targeted ads now that, we just talked about Manscaped here. And I think that could be a good avenue for Raina. It's going to be really important for us to build a strong consumer base and make sure that the women that use our product are advocates, because women talk to each other about pubic hair a lot. That's how me and Katie, came to found Raina, because we were so frustrated with the products that we're using now. So we're going to translate that same customer advocacy as we launch the direct consumer model.
Got it.
Megan, I saw one product out there called the Brori. Have you come across that one?
Say it one more time.
BRORI.
No. What is it?
It's very similar to Raina in terms of functionality and use. They have one targeted just towards armpits and legs. But I'm curious, you haven't seen the product yet, but why don't you think anyone has cracked the nut, so to speak, on the larger market in general?
Mm-hmm. Well, first on that product, when a tool is designed for armpit hair or leg hair, it really can't be used effectively on pubic hair because the hair is fundamentally different. It's much more coarse. And if you think about the landscape that you're trimming, a leg is flat and even, and a vulva is rounded, and then the labia on either side, by the vulva are, much more narrow. So it has to be a different product than you would use on an armpit or leg. And that's not to mention the bacterial concerns if you're using a product in different parts of your body. And so we're thinking that the trimmer will be specifically designed for the vulva for those reasons.
Have you talked to any dermatologists or doctors as part of your study, just to make sure that you're hitting it right down there?
Yes. Yeah, that's a great question. What we were really talking with some people in the medical community and looking at studies and research, because there's actually a lot of studies that show women are accidentally nicking themselves when they're trimming their pubic hair or using a razor. Or in our survey, we found women are actually using like kitchen scissors and nail clippers to trim their pubic hair. Yeah, alarming. I had the same reaction as you, Hillary. And so that's really, where the medical community came in, was realizing, okay, this, some of these injuries are so serious, they require emergency medical attention. And, those are just the ones we hear about in research. So certainly from a safety standpoint, we're looking to the medical community, and then also in terms of preventing infections by making sure the product is just used for pubic hair.
Okay, on that note, I think we're all set. Now that you've, totally traumatized us, but that's okay. You're going to fix the trauma. I love it. Well,
this
thank
is great.
you. Thank you, Megan. And we'll see you back here at 1:15.
Sounds great. Thank you all.
Yep. Okay. Teddy and Nathan, aren't you glad that I got you here for this one? That one?
It's funny.
I was a bioantro major, so all the same.
We're investors in a medical device for the treatment of ED. So I've had, a lot of conversations around that, which are similar to this one in that it's, a stigmatized area, and you just get used to saying things that in normal conversation you don't really say.
You don't normally say. All right. So you guys are all set for the next one? Ready to go? Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're letting Mary in.
Okay. Hey, Mary. How you doing?
Super excited to be here.
Okay, great. I want to do a real quick intro of the judges that we have here. All three are Darden alums. All three founded companies while they were students. Nathan did Forgetful Gentleman with a classmate of his, and has since moved on to the investing and advising side. Hillary founded Lumi Juice, which she still is running. And Teddy founded, also with a classmate, 501 Auctions, which they have since sold. And now he tells me he's doing a record label. That news is just in. So Mary, you will have time for your 1-minute elevator pitch, and then we'll move right into questions from the judges. So go, you're all set to go.
Wonderful. The majority of women are unhappy with their sports bras, citing discomfort as a pivotal pain point. This pain has a name, chafing, and is a huge problem. Also known as runner's tattoo, horrifying bra lacerations from a dearth of innovation in female athletic design are preventing women from hitting their stride. Hi, I'm Mary Colley, and I am one of those women. I created Secura to stop sports bra chafing in its tracks and help women thrive by moving more freely. Secura is an athletic and athleisure game changer, helping women exercise free of chafing and seamlessly continue with their day by offering a solution that saves them precious time and helps protect both their skin and their sports bras. Because Secura addresses the root of the sports bra chafing problem through its soft, moisture-wicking, disposable pad design, it differentiates itself from the alternative. Roll-on lubricant that melts from the heat of exercise and requires disruptive reapplications for even a chance of working. With the $9 billion sports bra market and $83 billion athleisure market accelerating rapidly, the opportunity is here and now to better serve women who are wearing sports bras for all-day use more than ever by providing not only a perfect solution for running, but for quickly transitioning from exercising to working from home. Together, we can reduce suffering and empower women to hit their stride one worry-free run at a time. Thank you. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions.
Okay.
One initial question that I have, and as a long distance runner, like I've definitely experienced runner's tattoos of various sorts. How much of it is, the fit of the sports bra, for example? And I can imagine that, even, there are going to be situations in which the sports bra itself is going to be the problem, and no kind of barrier will solve that. Like, what percentage of that do you think is the case? And where does Sakura come into play?
Yeah, I'm so grateful that you asked that question. So sports bras by design aren't really engineered to prevent chafing, because in order to prevent chafing, you need to wick moisture away from the skin. And a lot of sports bras, they're engineered with synthetic materials. And even if they're engineered with cotton, you still have moisture accumulating in a triangular pattern, kind of pooling due to gravity around the bottom of the chest area. Because sports bras use compression to help keep the rest tissue in place, you naturally have these points of pressure that are going to be hot spots for chafing. And the most common one, and the one we see with runner's tattoo, occurs right at the bottom of your chest, where the band is compressing the rest tissue and meeting the skin.
Just curious about your thoughts on kind of balancing the convenience and kind of sanitary, concerns of it being disposable versus the sustainability concerns, of having something that just is routinely kind of thrown away.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked this question because I'm also very passionate about Mother Nature and protecting the environment. And I recognize that's a concern, but it's a surmountable problem with material science being as advanced as it is today. So step one is coming up with a product that people will buy. And step two is making that product better and minimizing its impact on the environment. So I'm looking forward to experimenting with a variety of different sustainable materials, including organic cotton, bamboo, hemp blends, recycled plastics, and biodegradable materials to make Secura more friendly for the environment.
I personally, I'm small chested, so I've never had this issue before, so I can't relate to it. And I was a big athlete, not so much anymore. My question is, have you looked at, maybe from the sustainable point of view that Nathan mentioned, looked at designing a sports bra that is suited to help women that have larger breasts? And
so that's an interesting question. So I myself don't have a particularly large breast, and I'm also not a long distance runner, and I still experience this issue just because of the accumulation of moisture. And the reason why I chose to pursue the design that's a complementary product to sports bras is that choosing an intimate product is a very unique and personal experience for women. A lot of women have, favorite sports bras that they gravitate towards, and I wanted to make those sports bras work better for them.
And I guess my other question, is it going to come in multiple sizes? Because women have their breasts are, some are further apart, some are closer together. So is it one size fits all, or how are you going to compensate for that?
Yeah, so at the moment I've engineered one size, but I was considering offering a paradigm where it's small, medium, and large. And at the moment, the size of the pad is pretty significant, and I have it right here. So it covers a significant portion of the bra, as you can see. And that's enough of the portion in general for the average woman. But I can see that adding more sizes will help create a more inclusive product that will suit the needs of every woman. So definitely something that I will continue or create in Secura.
Is there a men's extension for Teddy? I'm not a runner, so I've never had this issue either, but I'm curious if there's room for that, and if so, if you're already thinking about that, how you would think about creating a brand that can maybe inclusive for male products as well.
Yeah, so I'm not as familiar with male chafing, and that's a very interesting question. It's definitely something that I would consider since the technology is being built to reduce this chafing problem. Of course, I'm sure the design and the shape would be tailored in a different way, but certainly something I'd be interested in pursuing in the future. Right now, the goal is to make this product as beautiful and sleek as possible and really make sure that it's solving this problem of chafing as well as it possibly can. And I've been dog feeding this, and I have to tell you, it works amazing. I even wear Secura like when I'm not working out because it's so soft. It's like putting your chest on a cloud. And the only thing I'm mad about is I didn't, create this earlier, because I've been running since I was 14 and I've had this problem for a very long time. Any more questions? One last question.
Okay, well, I think we're all set, and I think our time is up as well.
Yeah, thank you all so much. It was really fun. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Mary. We'll see you back at 1:15.
Sure.
Thanks, Mary.
MJ, can I run to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah. You may, because you asked so nicely.
I'm gonna go too.
All right. Good plan. Good plan.
Might as well.
All right. So Madeline, we are
We have 3 left.
okay, and we've made up some time, so we're just a couple minutes behind.
Yep, we made up some time.
Okay, good.
And It looks like Sidecar's in the waiting room, so they're all here. So we're in good shape.
Okay.
And we are live streaming, and we have 12 people watching. Hello, everyone.
We should have a little music interlude.
I know. Sing something, MJ.
That's what I sing. They go running for the other room. Should have planned ahead on this, but oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A little dead air. We're not in broadcasting.
Let's see. I will do this.
You're gonna share a blank screen?
There we
go. Ah, perfect. So is the live streaming still audio?
Yes.
Audible?
Yes, it is. I'm just sharing my screen.
Okay, sorry. You're on mute, MJ.
Oh. All right.
Thought I'd give you a little Price is Right background.
Yeah. Is this the beginning of your record label?
No, I think I'd get in some legal trouble if I tried to get kicked out there. Soundbars are not approved.
Okay. If that was on your record label, you'd be making some good royalties right now.
That's right. That's right. The Price is Right.
Okay. I think we're ready for our last three.
Yes. So I will go ahead and let Sidecar in.
All right. Sidecar is up.
Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome, Yasmin, Alexis, and Nadine. Did I say that right? Nadine?
Yes, Nadine.
Okay. I'm MJ Tom, so nice to meet you guys. We've all seen your video and read your submission. I want to do a real quick intro to the judges here. All three graduated from UVA, from Darden, and while they were students, all three of them launched ventures. So Nathan launched a company called Forgetful Gentleman with one of his classes, and now he is an investor and advisor for startups in the food specialty area. Hillary is drinking her product, the Lumi juice, which she also launched while she was a student, and is still running, clearly. And then Teddy, he launched a company called 501 Auctions, which helped nonprofits raise money at live charity events. And he has since cashed out on that and moved on to his record label. So we're going to give you 1 minute for you guys to do your elevator pitch. And after that, we'll open it to Q&A from the judges. So you can start now.
Alrighty. Welcome to the new era of drink ordering, a night out where you don't have to lose your voice, where you don't have to call your way to the front of the bar. We are Sidecar.
Every bar knows that revenue on busy nights plateau because they can't increase throughput without making the bar bigger. Ask a bar in any major city and they'll tell you how many customers turn away at the sight of lines. Our goal is simple. Filter through bars based on location, choose the drinks you want, and check out. Once you arrive at the bar, simply tap your smartphone onto any of the NFC receivers located around the room, sit back and relax. When you get that ping on your phone, your drinks are ready.
Our idea requires integration with POS platforms like Square and Shopify, both of which are friendly and welcoming to third-party integrators like ourselves. Given the rise of POS cloud platforms like the aforementioned and massive adoption in the industry over the past 5 to 7 years, we believe Sidecar is primed to take advantage of a market segment that is both willing to spend money and impatient.
We're Sidecar and we're your fast pass to beer. Thank you guys so much for being here with us today and listening to our presentation, and we'll now take any questions that you have.
So this is a problem that's very near and dear to all of our hearts. One question that I have logistically is, how do you get around the fact that a slammed bar is a slammed bar, right? And like you have to, it seems like you would have to set aside a part of the bar for delivery. You have to confirm that someone's 21, and also make sure that somebody else isn't grabbing the wrong drink. How do you solve for some of those core issues?
Right, so we're banking on the fact that there will be a bouncer at the bar, so anyone let in will be 21 years old. And then as of right now, we are targeting bars that have either enough space to accommodate either an end of the bar for our product, or bars that have multiple bars, multiple floors, maybe just multiple bars, so that there can be a special bartender there. So when you tap your phone on the NFC tag placed at the bar, it will have your confirmation order, and then the bartender will be able to give you the drink that you have. And obviously we'll have to make amends to that as we see fit coming from feedback in bars.
So, this is similar to what's happening in restaurants where, you have online ordering platforms now coming into restaurants during peak time, where typically what you'll see is that in the store, the employees, and I imagine this would be the case with bartenders, would tend to prioritize the in-person guests. So, have you thought about how do you build in like appropriate throttling into the mechanism? So, it's not just slamming it, to Teddy's point, an already slammed bar with more orders that just get backed up. Do you think, would you suggest that bars have a dedicated bar or bartender for the sidecar business? Are you going to integrate into their POS so that you can have some sort of smart throttling mechanism so that it's just not going to accept orders during certain times, or it's going to provide a kind of more realistic estimate of time for a sidecar order? I guess I guess your thoughts on that, because I think your solution is addressing a problem that, if not done sort of thoughtfully, could actually exacerbate the problem.
Yeah, you go for it.
So theoretically, it would produce enough revenue and throughput that, if necessary, the bar would be able to hire an extra person and have that dedicated space working towards this solution. Nadeem, if you have anything to add.
Well, just to mention that if you take UVA bars as an example, the bartenders are getting paid, $10 an hour before tips. So the incremental revenue of adding a separate person to deal with just mobile orders, the revenue that derives from what would come to our app would far surpass whatever they're paying a certain individual for one night's work on like a separate bar, or like separating the bar into two parts. So in theory, like you'd have the normal bartender handling the normal orders, and then you have the second bartender who's handling just the mobile order queue, and that reduces the traffic on the first bartender and ultimately increases throughput because less people are being turned away because they have another option to order a drink, which is, they get it ordered before they even get there, and then all they do is scan their phone and sit back.
Have you done a lot of, I guess, how much research have you done around the excess capacity for a very busy bar? Is it really a demand issue, or are they just not able to keep pace with the business that they have currently?
That's a good question. I mean, it really goes both ways. So the primary research that we did in terms of like in-person research, and Alexa can touch on this because she actually works at a bar on the corner. But the issue that they had was more on the lack of, it was a demand issue in terms of like there's way too many people in the bar trying to get a drink, and they just don't have enough bartenders or enough hands to deal with it. And so that's why, in theory, our idea would work, because when you have everyone like throwing their hand over the bar saying, take my credit card, the number of people who are doing that would be drastically reduced. And Alexa, if you want to touch on anything here, go for it.
Yeah, I was able to talk to my manager at the Virginian on the corner, and she was telling me about serving at like Biltmore's Survivor Hour or whatever, and even at Verge, they just simply don't have enough hands to accommodate everyone. But at the same time, as it is, it's not worth it to hire another bartender, because that will just be costing them more money theoretically, because it still won't be enough throughput. So our app will be able to accommodate for that extra throughput, and it wouldn't cost the bar any more money, because they would just be making money off the tips for the orders that they would be creating revenue for the bar for.
Have you guys looked at partnering with like reservation services? I think one of the issues I get annoyed with, but this is one sample.
Oh, Hillary, we're losing you.
I think a lot of people I know share this pain point, is that it takes forever to get a drink. Sorry, can you hear me?
We went out for a minute. You're back though.
Sorry, they're doing construction on my house and it keeps cutting out. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Am I frozen? Okay, well, pairing with reservation systems so that you could order a drink with your reservation, so that when you arrive to your table, your drinks come out.
Could you repeat the question just so it's clear?
Can you hear me or not?
I didn't get the question. I just heard the last
So like, have you thought about partnering with reservation systems? So when you make a reservation at a restaurant or a bar, you can also put in your first order for cocktails. So when you arrive and sit at your table, have you looked at other ways to integrate it besides just the busy college bar?
Yeah, so that's definitely like a potential avenue to take this, especially if we're planning to expand and target a lot more consumers. Because at the end of the day, you know, looking at college consumers is not the best way to build a business, considering that they're a small fragment of all the people who drink at a bar. So yeah, that is one potential avenue to explore, as a partnership with those kinds of services. But the way that we see it is first building out the initial model and testing like specific bars at UVA as sort of guinea pigs, seeing where that goes, and then exploring potential integrations, as well as potential options, like you mentioned, that would allow us to expand the business to appeal to more people than just the people who are upset that they can't get a drink at the bar.
Would this be a white label product for the bar, or are you trying to build a brand, consumer brand with Sidecar?
Could you repeat the first part? I didn't hear because of the alarm.
Would this be a white label product for the bars to use, or are you trying to build a consumer-facing brand with Sidecar?
Our goal is to provide a service to the bars. So we integrate with the POS platform, Square, Shopify, etc. And then because they already have adopted those cloud-based services in their bar, we essentially provide the service. So we'll do all the human capital stuff at the beginning. The stuff that, you know, the big POS platforms like Square wouldn't ever want to touch unless it's successful. And we get the bar up and running, and then we provide the service. So we have the app that people use that links to their POS.
But and that's part of the reason.
It's not a Sidecar app.
Is the question whether it would be a Sidecar app or like the bars app? Yeah. No, it would be a Sidecar app, because the goal is to have the bars integrate, each respective bar to integrate on the app, so that when you're filtering by location, you see all the bars in proximity and their menus are up to date, because that allows the bars to decide whether they want to have specific promotions on the app. And that's a way to get customers into the bar. So the goal is to have Sidecar become the main source for all the bars. And that ultimately just comes from testing the product and getting adoption from the bars, which in turn gets user adoption.
Okay, and Yasmin, did you have one quick thing? Because we're kind of out of time. Did you want to say more?
No, it's okay. Nadim touched on it.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you guys so much. And we'll see you back here at 1:15.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right.
I'm here. I'm just turning off my video for a minute while I get the internet back on. That will make it work correctly. Sorry.
Okay. Should we let the next person in, or you?
Yeah, I can hear I can hear everything. It's just my bandwidth is small.
Okay.
Okay. All right. We're going to let In Color stock in.
Hey, Clarissa, how you doing?
Hi, hey, MJ, good to see you.
Good to see you. I want to do a quick intro of the judges before you begin your pitch. All three are Darden alums, and they all founded companies while they were at Darden. We have Teddy Jones, who founded a company with one of his classmates, since sold, and he's on to other things. And Nathan is also founded a company with a classmate, and now he has moved on to the investing and advising side for startups in food. And then Hillary Murray, who's frozen there, she founded Lumi Juice while she was at school, and she still runs that today. And Hillary has been having some connectivity problems, so she might take herself off video, but she can hear you and we'll ask questions. So we'll let you do your 1-minute pitch, and then we'll move right into the Q&A from the judges.
Great. Well, thank you so much to all of the judges for being here. Please let me know when I'm ready to go. I guess I'll wait for a cue, or
yeah, you can just go. Yep.
I can just go. All right, great. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Clarissa Jimenez. I'm an executive MBA student at Darden, a journalist and a news producer. And I am here because representation matters. We live in a visual culture where the images of who is powerful, who is successful, and who is beautiful shape our reality. And it is a problem when Black and other people of color are left out of these images. I know this firsthand when working at the Washington Post as a video producer. I actually had an incredibly difficult time in finding racially diverse stock photos and stock footage to put in my videos. And this is in one of the most influential newsrooms in the world. And this is a problem that I'm looking to fix with InColorStock.com, a digital content service selling downloadable stock images and stock footage depicting Black and other people of color in an authentic manner, in context, and without the cheesiness of stock photos. But I'm not just looking to solve a representation problem in the media. I'm also looking to build a profitable company. And I am doing this by focusing on 6 content verticals that my competitors, even the biggest ones such as Getty, do not focus on, and also selling stock footage depicting minorities, which is actually incredibly difficult to find on the internet and also in websites like Getty. Thank you for your time, and I am open for questions.
So in helping us understand kind of the why behind those verticals, it sounds like it's mostly because those are ignored by the larger folks. Do you also see them as profitable and as ones that you can really build on?
Yeah, so in my research that I've done so far, the verticals that I have laid out are the ones where there's not only a lot of demands from consumers in general. When you do searches for those images, it just so happens that it's really difficult to find those images depicting Black and other people of color. So the consumer demand is there, but it isn't being currently met even by the biggest competitors. So the way that I selected those verticals was based on the demand that is out there, but then the lack of content to compensate for that demand.
Thank you.
What do you see the barrier for entry to be for someone like Getty Images? It's, they have a program that allows people to give them kind of mandates of what they would like to do, and then photographers can choose to take those pictures, and then they work with them or they don't. But do you see the barrier for entry for your competition? Have you looked at that at all?
Yeah, that's a great question. The barrier to entry isn't high, but what makes it challenging is that the depth isn't there. So you can create an opportunity to provide 100 stock images depicting Black parents, right? But it doesn't meet even when providing 100 images, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're providing diversity within those images. A lot of the images, I don't know if you've had an opportunity to look, tend to be very repetitive, and the variety in those images is also something that is missing. So even though the barrier of entry isn't high, even when they do meet the need, it isn't met in the same way that I can meet it with incolorstock.com, which is showing diversity within diversity. I want to be able to show parents in cities and rural areas from different socioeconomic backgrounds, and taking out the cheesiness that is often associated with stock images. It's also something that I'm looking to do to differentiate my product from what is currently out there. So the barrier of entry isn't high, but once they break in, they actually don't go as deep as you could potentially go within the niche.
So I think, actually the magic is in the curation and the production quality. If you go on Getty or Adobe Stock right now, it's sort of the Netflix problem, which is there's just so much there to sift through, and you sort of just end up sort of paralyzed. And as I think you've made, very obvious, you've thought a lot about not making it cheesy and making it really genuine. I guess, can you talk about maybe the tension in having fewer assets that are done with a higher production quality, that are more tightly curated with the kind of the cost of production, and also then the pricing model to make it work, where if you have fewer assets, you probably need to be charging more for them just to offset the volume. I don't know, just interested in your thoughts as you've thought about production costs and pricing, because it looked like in your pitch, you were not only going to come in at a sub-market price to consumers, but your production costs actually, to me, looked pretty light as well.
Yeah, so to answer your question, I want to be sure that I follow it. It's not so much that I'm providing less quantity in terms of the content, I'm just going deeper. So it's supposed to be general market, where I am giving you images of Black and other people of color in every setting possible. I am trying to curate the content that I provide within those 6 verticals. So I still want to go deep and provide a lot of content. So I anticipate, for example, one of my verticals is spirituality and wellness, which is a huge industry right now. So in terms of trying to go general market and provide photos of every category possible, I want to go deep within spirituality and wellness and provide 1,000 images, which is still quite a bit. It is still enough that it doesn't feel that I am limiting the content. So there's still an opportunity for me to have flexibility in the pricing, because the amount of images that I'm offering is still quite large. I'm just going very niche with it. I don't know if that answers some of your question, but feel free to follow up if that didn't capture it.
No, I think, I think that was a good answer.
I'm happy to elaborate if some clarification is needed.
My question, if there is a clarification needed, was how you, I saw how you thought about pricing, but how are you going to pay for talent?
Yeah, so the compensation structure that I'm thinking about right now is twofold. I can either pay the talent up front, meaning the photographers and the videographers, or I can do a different model, which is I only pay you if your photo or stock footage is downloaded. So you get paid on the back end. So those are the 2 models that I'm considering. Obviously, paying up front is a lot more expensive. So I'd like the idea of being able to form a contract with these videographers and photographers that I want to work with, and say, if your images are sold, you get a cut from it. If they're not sold on the website, I don't get a cut from it and you don't get a cut from it. So that is one model that I'm contemplating.
Okay, we have time for one more question.
One question I have for you, Clarita, is how do you anticipate taking advantage of your connections with the Post and the AP and other folks to connect with advertisers?
Okay, I'll go ahead and answer. There was some noise that came through for a moment. Sorry. No worries. So I think my connections within journalism will actually come most handy when it comes to finding talent to shoot my content. I don't necessarily think that I could go back to the Washington Post and leverage those connections to connect me to advertisers, because I was in the newsroom as a journalist, and there is that wall between editorial content and advertising. So my connections within the media industry are very editorial driven. In this case, it works to my advantage because I do believe that I'm going to be able to leverage that network and identify photographers and videographers who are willing to work with me on shooting the original content and then working out a compensation structure. So not so much on the advertising side. I do believe part of my work with my venture will be developing relationships with brands and with PR agencies and with companies that are hungry for that diverse digital content. And right now they're not getting it. So that is some legwork that I need to do. But my journalism network will be useful when it comes to getting the talent to shoot the content.
Okay, well, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much, Claritza. And we'll see you back here in a little bit at 1:15. Great to hear from you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we have our last one, Wi-Fi. And you guys ready to have them come right in?
Sure.
All right.
Thumbs
Here
up.
it goes. Hello, welcome Wi-Fi team.
Hello, how are you guys?
Oh, good, good. We can hear you and see all three of you. You're actually together. That's awesome. I'm MJ Toms at the Darden School, and I want to introduce you to the judges real quickly. All three are Darden alums who were founders while they were in school. Hillary Murray founded Lumi Juice, and she still runs it today. Nathan Tan founded Forgetful Gentleman with one of his classmates, and is currently on the advising and investing side of startups. And Teddy founded a startup with his, also with a classmate, and has since sold that. And he's semi-retired and has started a record label, he tells me. So we're going to give you 1 minute to do your elevator pitch, and then we'll move right into Q&A. So you guys can start up now.
Sure thing. Thank you, MJ, and great background for the judges. So we're Wi-Fi, a Wi-Fi sharing marketplace. And as we all know, COVID-19 has made the world comfortable with working and learning remotely. And as a result, internet usage has hit an all-time high. Americans need bandwidth at different times, creating an idle supply of bandwidth that varies by individual. So we know this is a huge market, and the TAM of all citizens living in urban apartment complexes is over $6 billion. However, we understand the necessary idea of having a focused beachhead, which is why we're targeting students at NYU and Columbia living in their main apartment complexes, representing a $2 million SOM. So Wi-Fi is a pure software play, a marketplace application where urban apartment dwellers can buy and sell their excess bandwidth with their neighbors. So the Wi-Fi app serves as both a marketplace as well as handling all the back-end connectivity to routers, as well as being a payment gateway. So it's simpler, more secure, and more reliable than the alternative of mobile hotspot, and then much more cost-effective than upgrading your large broadband plan with a traditional ISP. So we're 3 fourth-year students covering management, finance, IT, entrepreneurship, as well as politics concentrations. And we think this diverse background gives us the right knowledge to handle all aspects of the venture, from building the business team, business model, as well as any legal hurdles that we might face along the way. So that's our pitch, and we really look forward to hearing any questions you guys have for us.
I'm going to start with legal hurdles. Have you looked at Federal Trade Commission regulations or any sort of regulations that would prevent you from reselling?
Yeah, definitely, Hillary. So we looked at a variety of different ISP contracts kind of across the board among the 8 major players. And it's kind of a gray area legally whether you're allowed to sell your excess bandwidth. Some explicitly say that you cannot, Xfinity and Verizon, and then others do not mention it at all, like Cox and Spectrum. But we talked to a senior vice president actually at Xfinity and kind of walked through what this might look like on their end. And they mentioned the only way that we would ever get on their radar where they might send a cease and desist is if we actually have enough users that we're pulling away contracts from them in case users aren't upgrading their plans or might cancel it all to go all a la carte. But they mentioned, especially with COVID, ISPs really care about their net promoter score. And if they took away something like this, they would lose a lot of customers and face backlash. Something Xfinity is really targeting is NPS. So they mentioned that, this might be an acquisition play for them to kind of differentiate, the commodity of broadband among their competitors. So maybe if Xfinity bought us, then this would only be an Xfinity play, and you could kind of mix and match your broadband a la carte instead of upgrading the platform. So that's kind of where it stands. I know that's not a super direct answer, but it's a pretty complex issue.
I had Wi-Fi issues yesterday, and Hillary could definitely use your product at the moment. I was curious if you guys have thought about reliability. What happens if your neighbor gets throttled and your bandwidth then goes from whatever you're promising, 25, 50, 100 down to whatever the new number is.
Some of that is we're aware that if, let's say, your neighbor's bandwidth cuts down during the time that they use it, we would first send them a message saying, hi, the amount of bandwidth you were supposed to provide is lower than what it is, please adjust. But if it completely cuts, we would hope to look for somewhere in the market where it would be easily on the app to see, oh, there's another person selling it now. I'd be able to take that, and then they'd be able to write a claim to us, and we would refund them for what they paid originally with that first time slot, and hopefully have it applied to the second time slot in order to fill that gap and hope that customers don't have that break in connection that they're trying to avoid.
Thank you.
How big of a problem is this really? Like, how many people run out of data on a day-to-day or week time frame?
So for me, it's definitely a huge problem, just because I have 4 apartment mates who then all have a Zoom or are watching a movie or something, and it uses up our bandwidth to almost its full extent. So I know that, let's say, during my class time of 11 to 12:15 p.m., I'm going to need extra bandwidth reliably almost every other day. So at least from my perspective, I'm able to see it, but then I'm able to hear this from other people in other apartments and other students that we know who say, hey, I'm lagging out of classes because I don't have enough bandwidth, or maybe I should update my internet plan to a higher package, but then that's paying by monthly rather than, oh, I just need it for Monday and Wednesday at 11 o'clock rather than I need it for the entire month.
And then just quickly building on that, we did conduct like an internal study at UVA with a few hundred participants, and 100% of our respondents said they do experience Wi-Fi issues. And then also talking to this executive at Xfinity mentioned that the boosts in their plans have been kind of higher than ever given COVID with all the kind of teleconferencing that's going on. So they don't have an exact number of how many people have actually increased their bandwidth, but the need is kind of bigger than ever, both from our small survey as well as looking kind of top down from the ISP perspective.
I guess, is it really, and sorry, I'm just naive when it comes to anything technological, hence why I have internet issues today. How easy is it just to transfer that bandwidth though?
Yeah, so that's a great question. And it's kind of why the time is right now. I would say 5 years ago, we probably needed to have like a hardware component to plug into your router to make sure that everyone can access the network. But recently we've actually seen, pioneered by Apple, maybe you've used this, maybe you haven't, but if you have a contact that's in your contact list and you're both on the same Wi-Fi and you have the password, they don't, a little message will pop up and you can just share it with them. So that technology exists, and Apple uses their iCloud keychain to do this, and we would just have a similar, all encrypted within the app, so that anyone that's in the app is a part of this kind of encrypted chain where you can just simply give the password for the allotted time and it'll pull it back right away when the time expires. So it's not, doesn't need a hardware solution, and it's actually very doable right now.
Okay, 1 minute warning. Do you have one last quick question? Because we have a couple seconds left. Yeah, all right. I think we're good. Thank you, Team Wi-Fi.
Thank
We'll
you
see
so
you
much.
back here in a little bit, and we'll let the judges deliberate.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you so much for
Thank
your
you
time,
so
guys.
much.
So I think Madeline now is we're still streaming, so we don't want to discuss while we're streaming. So Madeline, I think, is gonna throw us into a breakout room.
Yes, I'm going to try and do that now. Let's see how it goes. All right.
So hopefully we'll all see each other in a couple seconds in a breakout room.
All right. Make sure to accept the request. You should receive a request. Make sure to accept it.
All right, we're back to live streaming. Hopefully I'm unmuted now.
You are unmuted.
Okay, and you're going to bring back all the waiting room people?
Yes, I'm bringing them in right now.
Okay. Okay, I think everybody's back, or everybody's back that's coming back. So we want to thank you all for participating in the competition. And I think you may know that there were 67 entries just in your track. It was the biggest track. There were 148 overall. So just making it to the top 8 is pretty impressive. To be a finalist in this track in this year. It's the most entries I think that we've ever had at this stage of the competition. So kudos to you all. We are going to announce the top 5 that each will get $1,000. Madeline will facilitate that. We also will be sending you the feedback from these particular judges. And, you know, if you are interested in reaching out to them, let us know. For any follow-up. The other thing that I really want to make sure that I encourage you to do is to participate in the next stage of the competition, which is discovery. That phase is really about what you're able to do between now and then to move your idea forward. It's based on the principles of effectuation, which you can read up on at effectuation.org. And again, it's really about like, can you take that idea and move it forward? Kind of tackle some of the obvious roadblocks. So our top 5 here in no particular order. And again, thank you to you all. They are Grome, Joy de Sans, Reina, Secura, and In Color Stock. And I'll repeat that one more time in reverse order. In Color Stock, Secura, Reina, Joy de Sans, and Grome. So again, thank you very much for participating, and I hope you have a great rest of the afternoon, and I really hope to see you all again in the Discovery finals. And maybe we'll be a little bit in person, who knows? I shouldn't get your hopes up. Okay. All right, did the judges want to say anything before I send you off? Any?
Congratulations to everyone. You guys did a great job putting together your pitches, and you know, you're welcome to reach out with questions. I'm in Charlottesville, so I'm local. If you guys need any feedback, I wrote notes that MJ will share with you too.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the same. And if you didn't win today, also don't be discouraged at all. I definitely have lost a handful of these, so massive success is always the best answer to winning or losing one of these competitions.
Yeah, MJ didn't choose me for the incubator, so.
Really so proud of that. So there are many people.
Losers do win.
Well said, Hillary and Teddy. I don't really have anything to add other than to also offer to, you know, connect with any of you if, you know, if you think that would be helpful. So.
Okay.
Done.
All right. Take care.
Thanks,
Bye.
MJ.